My name is Emily Collins, reporter with WestfordCAT, and here's the February 2nd edition of WestfordCAT News. Members of the community were invited to share their thoughts on a proposal to update school start times. A change, if approved by elected officials, could take effect as early as next school year. Discussions on changing school start times at select Westford schools began last year after a subcommittee was tasked with evaluating options in an attempt to create a school environment that prioritizes mental health and students' sleep during the school week. The school committee is proposing pushing back the start and release times for Westford Academy, Blanchard, Stony Brook, Day, Christofoley, and Abbott schools by 25 minutes. Miller, Robinson, and Nambanasset schools would only have their schedules pushed back by 5 minutes. During the January 21st public forum, parents and faculty shared concerns about a change in school start times. School officials reported the feedback they had received from faculty and parents specific to their schools. All said that feedback from faculty and parents was mostly positive, with the only concern being the amount of time kids would spend on buses. Quote, "I did present this to our school advisory council, and we did have a healthcare professional who is one of our members who was ecstatic, and she reiterated that data that you looked at and is very excited about the proposed time change." Day School Principal Chris Sardella said, "We do have a mixed bag with our faculty. Some are very much in favor of it, and they feel like what's best for students is definitely something that we would be considering, but there are other faculty that are concerned about that time that's spent on the bus." Based on a community survey that the committee shared, approximately 73% of respondents were in agreement with the change, with 59% of those in strong agreement. Several respondents also said they were concerned about homework load, after-school care, and supervision of students on buses. The school committee is set to vote on the proposed changes during its February 3rd meeting. After her conviction last year, a Westford woman was sentenced to 12 years in prison after being convicted in an over $100 million home health care scam. Faith Newton was found guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to commit health care fraud, 1 count health care fraud, and 3 counts of money laundering while she operated Arbor Home Care Services from January 2013 to January 2017. Quote, "Faith Newton seemed to think she could execute a $100 million health care fraud scheme at the expense of American taxpayers and get away with it. But she was grossly mistaken," said Special Agent in Charge Roberto Coviello of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General. Newton and other workers used home care services to defraud MassHealth of at least $100 million. Newton then gave herself million-dollar cash bonuses, a lavish house, and a Maserati. According to a news release, Arbor, at the direction of Newton, would submit false claims to MassHealth for services by home health care aides who were not trained and certified as required by law. Co-conspirators were instructed by Newton to create and submit falsified notes from nursing visits that did not happen, while also paying kickbacks for patient referrals regardless of medical necessity. They also entered sham employment relationships with patients' families to provide services that were not medically necessary, billed for fake visits, and flooded clinics with plans of care which pressured doctors to sign off. After MassHealth cut off Arbor in 2017, Newton cut herself and her husband each a $2 million check from their payoff account, which were backdated to appear as Christmas bonuses. Newton will also have 3 years of supervised release, pay a fine of $250,000, and a restitution of $99,734,517 following her 12-year sentence. WestfordCAT is proposing a 12-week pilot program for residents to opt in to receive our weekly newsletter in their mailbox for less than a cup of coffee per week. The initiative aims to increase accessibility, establish WestfordCAT as the town's official newspaper, and generate additional funding for our local access station, which has faced declining revenue. During this trial, papers would be similar to those distributed around town on Wednesdays. Papers that are currently distributed to several locations around Westford will continue to remain free of charge. Subscriptions would be approximately $27 per person for the 12 weeks if we secure 250 subscriptions. This amount covers only our print and distribution costs and does not account for labor. We are soliciting feedback to gauge what level of interest readers have in this project. In other town news, NetScout will host a free hackathon for middle and high school age girls to gain experience in programming on March 8th. The Select Board approved a new town slogan and graphic, "Discover Westford, a hub for growth, a home for success." The accompanying graphic is a green circuit board looking like a tree with a red apple on it. That's all for this week. We will return on February 9th. I'm Emily Collins, and you're watching WestfordCAT News.